What's going on, everybody? You're watching and listening to a live edition, Friday edition of the Desmond Johnson Show here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. It's a Super Bowl preview edition of the the Desmond Johnson Show. Earlier this week, I had a chance to interview Ryan Smith and NFL former tight end Ben Troupe, who are the host of Winning the Division. If you haven't found this yet, it's on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network. It's powered by the Fans First Sports Network. Great podcast place where you can get a lot of Carolina Panthers-centric podcasts. They came on for a bit to talk about the Super Bowl, give their predictions, who's going to win, and their answers might actually surprise you. So without further ado, let's get into it. It's a Friday edition of the Desmond Johnson Show. What's up, everybody? It's Super Bowl Friday here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. A loaded slate for you to get you ready for the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 59, 6:30 p.m. Sunday on Fox. The Kansas City Chiefs looking to create history, going for a three-peat against the Philadelphia Eagles, a rematch from 2 years prior. Had to kick it off with my guys from Winning the Division. If you don't know by now, the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans First Sports Network, is here. Your home for it is Tobacco Road Sports Radio. You can get lots of Panther coverage, NFL coverage, and more. These guys do a great job every week covering the NFL in depth. Ryan Smith, NFL former tight end, Ben Troupe in the house. We've got Carson Loftin getting interviewed by Randy Pettitt in the pit stop a little bit later on. You know, we're probably going to have best bets with Ryan Stone since the Super Bowl weekend. It's a loaded Desmond Johnson Show on a Friday. Let's go ahead and roll that intro. It's the Desmond Johnson Show.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky is Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city needs that. I've been number one, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you won't and get your weed whack. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's 4th and inches, I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
And welcome into the Desmond Johnson Show here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. Rate and subscribe the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio, where you can catch the Desmond Johnson Show 3 days a week. And you can catch the show with these two gentlemen here, Ryan Smith and former NFL tight end Ben Troupe. They are the host of Winning the Division. It is a NFL-centric podcast that airs once a week on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network. Gentlemen, welcome to the Desmond Johnson Show. How's it going?
It's going good, Desmond.
Let's just hop into it. Super Bowl 59, Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Kansas City Chiefs trying to go three-peat. They'll be the first team in the Super Bowl era to ever do this if they get it done. Ben, let's start off with you. Can they do this? Simply put, can they do this? Do you expect the Kansas City Chiefs to emerge victorious on Sunday, and why?
I do not. Here's why. I mean, obviously, two-part question. Yes, can they do it? Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs can do it. I don't think they will do it for this reason. I think sometimes when it comes to life, you know, we get these things called do-overs. And if you look at it, Nick Sirianni, if you look at Jalen Hurts and company, everybody thinking the pencil in, it's going to be the three-peat. The Swifty's going to be in the building. Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, all these former Chiefs. But I think this is the thing about Jalen Hurts nobody wants to talk about. Everybody talks about Josh Allen, as they should. Everybody talks about Lamar Jackson. What scares Jalen Hurts the most is he's not going to have the resumes that those guys have regular season. You talk about being up for the MVP, but if he wins, or should I say when he wins, are we gonna totally reshape how we look at, quote, franchise quarterbacks? Because I get it, Desmond. I get it, Smitty. Everybody, it's so easy when the narrative is Patrick Mahomes, former MVP, going to his third Super Bowl. But what happens when the guy who, let's face it, nobody wanted in Philly, right? They didn't want him when he got drafted. This is his second time around going back to the Super Bowl when Josh Allen can't win an AFC Championship game. I don't think Cincinnati is going back to one, and Lamar Jackson's never been to one. So you're talking about a guy who he's not going to – yes, he got the tush push. Yes, he got Saquon, but Saquon wasn't on the team last time. Jalen Carter wasn't on the team last time. What happens when he wins it and he reshapes the narrative? Because let's face it, Philly fans don't care if nobody likes him. They hate everybody that doesn't root for the Birds.
Facts.
But can Jalen Hurts become potentially, at least for a moment, the face of football because he took down a dynasty? The last dynasty that got took down was New England Patriots. Who beat them? Oh, that was the Eagles that took them down. Could it be the Eagles this time around doing it? I think they're going to do it. Saquon's going to have something to do with it, but I think Jalen Hurts, even though he's Mr. Professional, I think he can't wait to win. Just so, what he say? I had a purpose well before y'all had an opinion. I think those opinions going to be running rampant if they do indeed get that dub on Sunday.
And Jalen's a coach's son, so I mean, you can kind of tell from the way he handles himself, his mannerism and everything. He's one of those kind of quarterbacks where it's like he's not going to give you 400 yards passing and that kind of stuff. He just does everything you need a quarterback to do to win. And I do a lot of high school sports up here in the Triad here in North Carolina. We cover a lot of the local teams here that are big schools, and most of those coaches would rather have a quarterback that does that, like the quarterback that just does the right play as opposed to the big play. And Jalen Hurts kind of does that. Ryan, Pat Mahomes does both. He has gotten to 90s Jordan status, in my opinion, in terms of where he is culturally across America. Although there does seem to be a bit of malaise or just irritation that they're back in the Super Bowl again. And that's kind of the difference. I was kind of comparing them to the 90s Bulls, where back in the day, I couldn't really remember anybody really hating the Bulls. Like while they were in the middle of their dynasty, we all were kind of rooting it on. Like it was like we were watching greatness. We're in the middle of watching it. We're in the middle of watching something that's never happened before in the NFL and could potentially keep going after this. Like they win this, there's no reason to believe they won't be the favorite to win next year with what they'll have coming back and everything. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Pat Mahomes, starting off with him and him being on the precipice of being the GOAT, basically? Because once this happens, the only person that would have beaten him in the AFC Championship is Tom Brady, and the only person that would have beaten him in the Super Bowl is Tom Brady. So, I mean, literally, that's it. But he would also have the three-peat over top of him. He would have, 4 and 5 years. He's not even 30 yet. So your thoughts on what Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs are doing right here?
I mean, I think two things can be true. I think watching greatness is something that can be appreciated. But at the same time, it feels like a lot of people are getting Chiefs fatigue. And I'm not saying I am, but there are people who are definitely getting Chiefs fatigue. But watching greatness is something that, I mean, just like you said, the fact no one has gotten to the Super Bowl to get a three-peat. Everyone has lost in the championship game. They are the Chiefs are the first team to get back to the Super Bowl after repeating back-to-back.
I think so 89 49ers, 88, 89, 40, the 90 49ers got to the NFC Championship game, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah.
So it's just absolutely insane what they are doing. And like you said, even if they do three-peat, they will have a chance to win next year. Like you said, it's just I like your 90 Bulls comparison. I think it's also like watching Tiger in red on Sundays in his prime. Like you knew what happened with Tiger. You just knew he was going to find a way. And he, just like Mahomes was wearing his red, Tiger's wearing his red, and then you mentioned Bulls with Jordan wearing his red. So like you knew the folks wearing red were just going to get it done. Do I give my prediction as well, or did you want me to
no, hold off on it for a second. Yeah, I like that because I was kind of comparing Pat Mahomes to Thanos in terms of he's just inevitable. Like no matter what, I learned 3 years ago because I started off hating Pat Mahomes. I was like, I'm not gonna like this dude. This dude's throwing the ball behind his back. He's doing no-look passes. Like, what is this? Like, this is like weird backyard crazy like football. Then you start betting against him, and you're always wrong. Like every time you're like, this is where it's gonna mess up. And he always finds a way. And
I will say though, the rules that we all saw, they're going to start looking at the penalties, quarterback hits being reviewable potentially next year. That is the one thing. Brady used to do this, and other running quarterbacks, when Brady didn't run, I should say. But Mahomes is now doing this, and all the other quarterbacks are taking advantage. But it seems like Mahomes is doing this the most, where he does that little fake going out of bounds, and
that drives me nuts.
Getting more yards. He did that against our Panthers, Mr. Troupe, where
it iced the game
there, and
it iced the game for the Panthers, it iced the game for the Chiefs in that Chiefs-Panthers game where he literally did the Pat Mahomes, where he's running down the sideline and defenders are letting up. And he just keeps running down the sideline.
But credit to him. credit to him for taking advantage of that little loophole.
It's not against the rules. Yeah. I mean,
Against the rules. Bill Belichick used to do that all the time against Mike Vrabel with the Titans. Ben, you know this. And so, you know, like those little technical rules that Bill would know, and he'd take advantage. And then when they get done, when it's done against him, then he's like, oh, wait, I was ahead of the time here. What are you doing?
It's not like he's moving. It's not like he's moving at the speed of light. I mean, everybody can see it's the slowest. Act like I'm gonna slide, and you say to yourself, I know he's not gonna do it. I know he's not gonna do it. And the defenders are in no man's land, and you can blame that. It's kind of like the Aziz Shahir hit on Trevor Lawrence. No one wants to be the guy that hits Patrick Mahomes and he's hurt, because then it's, oh my God, the poster boy is hurt.
The whole league is down your neck at that point.
Exactly. Because like I said, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, you don't think Patrick Mahomes understands that he's the face. You don't think Patrick Mahomes understands that he's going to get this. The best players in any sport are going to get more calls. You know, Jordan, it's happened to Jordan, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. You've just never seen it, you know, taken advantage of like Pat Mahomes. Like, he knows it, because you think, okay, he's going to scramble. You know how fast these defenders are? Everybody's faster than Pat Mahomes. But when he's running, oh my God, they can't catch him. Yeah, it's hard to catch something you're not trying to catch. It's hard to hit something you're not trying to hit. And I feel so bad for those defenders, because if they can catch Lamar Jackson, they can catch Pat Mahomes. I'm not saying they catch Lamar, but if they can catch that, come on, man. Patrick Mahomes.
It would be unfair if Lamar did that. If Lamar was doing what Pat Mahomes does with his speed, like run towards someone and just like juking back into field of play or whatever, Lamar gets down. Like, he don't want to get hit, which is smart on him. But
we saw that back in the day with Michael Vick. I mean, he did it all the time.
Yeah, Vic did do it all the time. But back then, it wasn't like the rule wasn't exactly the same in terms of giving up a quarterback. So he was getting hit like a runner, like Cam Newton. So, like, I mean, it was a little bit different then. I'm glad you guys mentioned Bill Belichick, because my next question was going to do with Andy Reid. I think it's time for us to start having this conversation about Andy Reid and whether or not he's the GOAT in terms of best professional coach of all time. Because if you really think about it, in my opinion, Belichick only had the success really either as an assistant with the Giants or with Tom Brady as his quarterback. Any other time besides that, I don't know if he made the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, during those years. I had Ross Tucker on last week, and he played for Bill Belichick and the Patriots, and he actually said that Marty Schottenheimer was his favorite coach of all time that he played underneath, but that he didn't consider Bill the GOAT of coaches because of that fact that he didn't really win anything without Brady. Ben, your thoughts on that? Is Bill Belichick, in your mind, the greatest coach of all time in terms of professional football? And if so, does Andy Reid have a chance to eclipse that on Sunday?
I mean, perception, yes. Reality, no. Because like you just said, if you telling me I'm the greatest coach of all time, and as soon as you take the best player I've ever had away from me, we become irrelevant instantly. It didn't even, and that player goes on and wins another Super Bowl, the first to ever host a Super Bowl and win it. This is why I say Andy Reid is the GOAT, in my opinion. Yes, look at what he did at Kansas City, but he's also playing against a team where it got started. It got started in Philly, right? Where he had Donovan McNabb in 4 straight years. They finally make it to the Super Bowl and they lose, right? I get it that they lose. But you telling me that when Doug Peterson comes in, he don't already have a winning culture? There was a winning culture that was already built in Philly. People act like culture doesn't matter. Okay, well, why is Nick Sirianni still winning? Doug Peterson's gone, because that's how great. What type of culture is going on in New England right now? They don't have a culture right now. Andy Reid said, "Look, I had Donovan McNabb, and I got this incredible football player. I had T.O. I just need a player." And then his name became Patrick Mahomes, because it's not the same thing. But when you start talking about the way in which Andy Reid has done it, people thought when he left Philly, he was never to be seen from or heard from again. They're like, "Oh man, he's going to Kansas City," and now you're getting sick of Andy Reid, because that's how. Because here's another thing. Remember, it was Eric Bieniemy. Where is he?
He just took a job. I saw yesterday. Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is why I really say he's a GOAT. Is anybody going to question the Travis Kelce the GOAT tight end? Not really.
No.
Is anybody going to question the Patrick Mahomes winning? He's the GOAT, right? So why question? So who's coaching those guys? Oh, that would be Andy Reid. So for me, the proof is in who you're coaching, how you coaching. Remember that guy Tyreek Hill? Where is he at? All these guys that we thought they was thrown into the coaching. Long as I got Travis Kelce, long as I got Patrick Mahomes, listen, long as I got Chris Jones and defenses like that, I just think that he is for a lot of reasons. And if you are, the Donovan McNabbs of the world, you say to yourself, dude, it's not like we weren't good. We just couldn't get over the hump. It's not like we weren't good. We couldn't get over the hump. Well, now You can't get over the hump because of Patrick Mahomes. And people can say, man, Patrick Mahomes is making Andy Reid because Andy Reid was winning before he got Patrick. He didn't win Super Bowls, but he was going to NFC Championship games. He was playing the Super Bowls. Tom Brady played for the New England Patriots. He went to what? 9 Super Bowls. They won 6 of them. Well, and people can say it was Bill Belichick. Well, it was Adam Vinatieri. It was it was Teddy Bruschi in that defense. It was, but the guy that was the key component was Tom Brady. Since he's gone, a lot of people don't know Bill Belichick is even in North Carolina right now as the head coach. If you live in North Carolina, you do. But most of these kids are saying, times a day does Bill Belichick have to hear, hey man, how good was Tom? Like I know how good was it? Because and you got listen, we can say that Phil Jackson is the greatest coach of all time in basketball, but he had Mike, he had Scotty, he had Kobe, he had Shaq. Right.
Yeah, but I will push back on that one because those players did not win anything until they had Phil. Like Mike and Scotty were playing together until they got Phil Jackson. That he got them over the hump. Shaq and Kobe, same thing. They got Phil. He got them over the hump. So on that aspect, I do consider Phil Jackson the greatest pro basketball coach of all time because he did it with multiple stars. He was able to keep that dynamic of that top tier star, your second mid tier star, and your bench role players all in this kind of symmetry wherever he was, both stints with the Lakers, the Bulls, all that stuff, and the rings speak for themselves. So, and both of those programs haven't really been anything since he left. The Lakers got a bubble championship, but other than that, I'm not gonna talk about the Lakers. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's happening. Like I'm kind of like, let me just see what happens, what goes down. I got Ryan Smith and Ben Troupe in the house from Winning the Division podcast on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network. You can follow that on X at KP_FFSN. Also, it's a part of the Fans First Sports Network, where you can find plenty of other podcasts on most of the NFL teams that are out there. Real quick, before I get you guys out of here, let's go ahead and get your predictions on this game. Give me a score. Give me a unsung hero of the game in your eyes. Somebody that could potentially be a guy that, tips the favor into one of these teams' favor and go home with a win on Sunday. Ryan, let's start with you.
Okay. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna give you 2, but I'm gonna give you 1, but the prediction's still the same.
Okay.
I think the Eagles are gonna win the game. I think while it's easy to pick Saquon Barkley, I'm going to start with Devonta Smith. He has been a quiet. AJ Brown is going to be locked up by Trent McDuffie a little bit, not totally, maybe limited. Devonta Smith, though, is going to take advantage against those other DBs on the Kansas City secondary. He is the X factor in this game, in my opinion, on the offensive side of the football. We all know Saquon Barkley does what he does. But I will say, with that being said, the running back for the Panthers, Chuba Hubbard, has the most yards against the Eagles this season. Against the Chiefs this season with 58 yards. 58, that's it. But they haven't played Saquon Barkley. And so Saquon Barkley is going to have a field day, in my opinion, against this Chiefs defense. And my other players, I said I was going to give you 2. Devonta Smith is why the Eagles win this game, the X factor. But on the Chiefs side of the ball, if the Chiefs want to win this game and stop Saquon Barkley and force Jalen Hurts to ultimately throw the ball down the field and make them beat them that way, Leo Chanel, middle linebacker for the Chiefs, someone who could be used as a defensive end and also an outside linebacker in blitz packages, someone that is very good in coverage and someone who's had an underrated season for the Chiefs. But yes, I think the Eagles will win this game. Your final score, 27-24. All
right. 27-24 Eagles. Ben, your prediction here.
Listen, I like the way you're thinking right now, co-host. I'm gonna go with the Eagles as well, and this is how I think it's gonna happen. This is why I think it's gonna happen. Patrick Mahomes is gonna have to do this year what Brock Purdy had to do last year. He's gonna have to watch Jalen Hurts with about a minute and 20-something seconds on the clock drive the length of the field for a touchdown, and this is how it's gonna go down. It's gonna be tied 22-22. Probably about 3 minutes left. The Chiefs gonna get you probably about the 20, 25, 30, 25-yard line. They won't be able to move the ball. They got to kick a field goal. So now it's 25-22. Ball goes back to Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is gonna look at them guys and say, this is what we want. The whole world is watching us. Yes, we're gonna hand it off to Saquon. Yes, and they're gonna feature everybody. Dallas gonna get a catch. AJ Brown gonna get a catch. Saquon gonna get a catch. Devontae gonna get a catch. But they're inching away. Then they're going to get to probably the 2-yard line. Big run by Saquon. He gets stopped on like the 2-yard line. They're going to let that clock run, and the tush push heard around the world is going to happen. Because the two things the Eagles got that no one has is Saquon and the tush push. Nobody has that. And they're going to say, hand it to Saquon. And Saquon going to say, no, Jalen. And I'm going to help get him in there because I'm going to be a lead blocker and he's going to win. He's going to be the Super Bowl MVP. Here is my unsung hero, though. I got two when they both coming from the defense. The first one going to be Darius Slay. Darius big play Slay. Every time you think, man, he's the oldest guy on the defense, try him. They're going to have to try him with like Xavier Worthy, and he's going to pick it off. Or maybe even DeAndre Hopkins going to pick it off. But here's a guy I think going to make a difference, and no one's talking about it. Nakobe Dean is out for the rest of the Super Bowl. Man, I'm praying for that man. The most consistent defensive player since the playoffs started has been Nolan Smith. He makes a play every single game. I think Patrick Mahomes will get a little loose with the football. Remember Graham the last time they was in the Super Bowl, got that big strip sack, and obviously, I think Nolan Smith is going to have, because he's starting, but he's a guy that, listen, kind of undersized, kind of a tweener, 6'2", about 230 pounds, but he's a pass rushing specialist. Doesn't do nothing great, but pass rushes a little bit better. I think he's going to get a big sack. And here's the thing, because Patrick Mahomes is used to getting calls, he's going to be looking for a call. No flag. Tackle got beat. And to me, I think it's going to come from the defensive side, because everybody said that Saquon, going to have to go up again. The Chiefs defense is going. They're going to buckle down because they don't want Saquon to take the game over. But for me, Darius Slay make a big pick. Nolan Smith makes a big strip sack, and for me, Jalen Hurts walks away the Super Bowl MVP, aka what they're going to say now, which means this offseason, Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes got to have a sit down. Nick get to look at Tom Brady and say, hey, man, I know you the GOAT, but what about them hands? Because I got to Philly. Because guess what? If the greatest play in Super Bowl history for the Eagles is Philly, right? Trey Burton to Nick Foles, the greatest call going to be the tush push. And that's going to happen on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. I like drama. If you have it, I want the drama because it's easy when it goes as planned, right? When it's Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce or, Taylor Swift or Andy Reid. What happens if it's Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts? The two who made headlines this offseason for having a little rift, they've obviously got their relationship back together. But yeah, for me, 28, it's a 28-25.
28-25.
28-25 Eagles, Jalen Hurts Super Bowl MVP, Nolan Smith or Darius Slay come up with a big play when everybody thinking it's going to be Jalen Carter.
Sorry, I went a little fast. I'm doing that because I'm shocked that both of you picked the Eagles without hesitation. Like,
I got one last thing to say, Desmond, on this. Jalen Hurts 2 years ago watched the confetti fall in Phoenix, Arizona, and then he saved the screenshot in his phone as a photo, and he has been staring at that thing since. Yes, that is factual knowledge. He has been staring at that ever since that Super Bowl, and most of these quarterbacks don't get back. Joe Burrow has not got back. Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo, same team, but different quarterbacks haven't gotten back. Jalen Hurts finally got back. He's back now. He's facing Mahomes again.
Both of you bring up excellent points. Like, I agree with everything you've said, but Pat Mahomes is standing on the other side of the field, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, every time somebody gives me a legit argument, like, yes, the Eagles can do this, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, this player's going to do that, I'm like, yeah, that's all good, but what about Pat Mahomes?
Saquon Barkley might just jump backwards over some people on the Chiefs defense. If Saquon...
It's like picking the Phoenix Suns to beat the Bulls in the 93 finals. It's like, it could happen, but I mean, is it going to happen? Like, I don't know. Like, and I said earlier with Jonathan Stewart, I've said earlier on Believing Panthers earlier this week, I gave my prediction then. I'm staying to it. I've got Chiefs 27-24. The game ends on an Eagles missed field goal.
Oh my God!
Because that type of win is exactly the kind of way the Chiefs have won all year this year. Don't forget, the very first win they had this year was by a toenail against Baltimore on primetime TV, and they've blocked kicks at the end of games. They've had people miss field goals at the end of games. People have fumbled the ball. It's always the other team that messes up, and Kansas City always benefits from it. What better way to three-peat and make history, NFL history, than to have the Philadelphia Eagles, the team you beat for one of these rings already, have a chance to tie, to go to overtime and miss the field goal as time expires, confetti falls down, Taylor Swift gets proposed to, whatever ends up happening at the end of the game, what all that stuff there for those prop bets. But I gotta get y'all out of here. But yeah, great stuff from winning the division. Shout out to Ben Troupe and Ryan Smith for coming through. Might have y'all come back and recap this because this was really good. I want to keep y'all on a little bit longer, but go watch winning the division. The new episode actually dropped Wednesday night live on our YouTube channel, so you can find it there. The audio will be out on iTunes and Spotify and everything else. I think Thursday morning, so you can go watch the video right now. It's about an hour and a half of good stuff, so definitely go check them out. We'll be back in just a bit here on the Desmond Johnson Show.